Before history is etched in silver, it's carved in ice. What happens next will last forever. The Stanley Cup Final continues. Oilers, Panthers on ABC and ESPN+. If you want to catch big fish,
I like this place!
You're gonna have to be in big water.
I might have got sharked.
Come along with Mark Davis in Big Water Adventures. New episode Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Outdoor Channel. She's on a mission.
Mopu is a wild place.
And what she discovers will haunt her.
I do so feel I was called to do God's work there.
Black Narcissus premieres November 23rd on FX.
To yet another episode of Take Time Out with Tre Mosley. And today I met this gentleman about a year and a half ago. Something like that. I guess we were both fans of each other, but then, you know, when you meet someone for the first time, it's like, not only is he a great talent, but he's a pretty good dude too. And his son loves me, and we'll get into that later. Dan Wright is voice actor, because that's why he's here. He is from the Northeast, so that means he possibly has affiliation or love for one of those East Coast teams. We won't say who, but if you look behind him, it might kind of give it away. But yeah, he like I do a lot of promo, commercial, that type of stuff, and you know, he was very gracious to say yes and come hop on the show with me. So without further ado, Dan Wright, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Trey. How are you, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's fall is not fallen yet, but you know, it's only 80 degrees here in Vegas. So that's a cold front for us, you know what I'm saying?
I hear you. We're in the upper 70s here in Jersey. So
I lived in Jersey for a few years.
all right.
Right outside of Toms River, New Jersey. I lived in a little town,
okay.
maybe not so little now, called Lakewood, New Jersey. And
Very cool.
It's one of those towns that I think every state, I don't care how big or small you are, there's always that one town that you go through to get to another town. And Lakewood is that town that you went through to get to another. Because I say Lakewood and people kind of give me a blank stare. But if I say, it's like one exit away from Freehold. Oh, they know Freehold. See? But they don't know Lakewood. Because I was about 30 minutes away from the racetrack.
Right.
So you say Freehold and then the light goes on. I'm in Lakewood. Okay. Have you been to Howell? Oh yeah, no Howell. Do you know you start going Point Pleasant Beach? Yeah, know that. Neptune, yeah, know that. Asbury, know that. Well, I'm on the other side in Lakewood. Okay.
Lakewood.
So yeah. See? He's a Jersey guy that doesn't know Lakewood. So that's cool.
I'm all about the hidden gems, man. You know, forget about the spotlight. Hide in the shadows. That's a place to be.
Well, that's kind of what we do. But then we get on things like this, and it's like, oh, they have faces. We actually have faces. How about that? So let's get into it. So on this show, we like to talk about the before. Before the gigs and the accolades and all that good stuff. Who was Dan Wright?
Let's see. All right. For most of my professional career leading up to voiceover, I was primarily like a CDL driver. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, buses, trucks. I worked for the MTA, USPS, Greyhound, that type of deal. So transportation.
I probably have seen you then, because now, did you work for NJT? Did you drive for
No, MTA in New York at the time.
Okay, gotcha. Because before I had a car, New Jersey Transit was my friend. I caught plenty and many of buses. So blue collar guy, pretty much. You driving. So what was that like? Because I have friends who are CDL drivers. One guy, he does long haul cross country. Another friend does long haul just within the state. and then another buddy of mine, he drives the academy buses. So, being that you've kind of dipped your feet in different areas of CDL driving, uh, what was it about it that, no pun intended, drove you to it?
Well, I'm not a college graduate, and I definitely had to make money. And at the time, having a CDL was lucrative. I think it's less so now, but just for me and my skill set at the time, it worked for making the kind of money I wanted to make. But at the same time, while doing it, I hadn't truly kind of found my calling or met my calling yet. So aspects of the job were really good, but at the same time, I was very unfulfilled. You know.
Yeah. So I'm sure there were many, many highs with the job, but then many lows as well.
Sure.
I know one of the things that I hear often from you guys that do that type of work, especially if you have families, is that you're being away from family. Um, it can be taxing. People think we're just sitting around driving all day, but they don't really understand that it takes a physical toll. You know,
Sure.
if you're stuck in traffic for an hour and now you're stressed out because your delivery's supposed to be there at 10, and you're like, oh yeah, we're only 20 minutes away from the bridge, and now that 20 minutes is now 60 minutes. Now you're late. A lot of things that can go with that can be very stressful. When did you make the decision that, I have had my fill of the open road and it was time to make a change?
I would say it was probably around 2008. I started actively
Mm.
pursuing voiceover, but it definitely, as you know, for a lot of people, it's not an overnight success kind of thing. There's a lot of grinding and hard work that goes on. So there was a lot of overnight CDL driving while going into Manhattan to audition and take classes, training, and for me, that was a decade of that. So, you know. Definitely not overnight success.
No, if you started in '08, I started in '09.
Okay.
So we're right around the same time. Um, in- if you think about it, it's a totally different, well, you got to think about it. It just is. That's a hell of a shift because you go from, doing this uh strenuous work. How does one go? I think I want to talk for a living. Because now some people will say, I was in acting school, I was in the glee club, I did this, and this. So for them, it's a natural transition from being on stage to, hey, voiceover or improv. What rang the bell for you that, okay, enough driving trucks, I think I want to hop on a microphone all day?
That's funny. I think kind of in the background of my mind from when I was a kid, it was always percolating because I always had a very active imagination. I was in a lot of school plays. And then later on in life, like in my early teens through my 20s, I sang for a metal band. And
Huh.
being in musical performance, there's acting in that as well,
Oh, yeah.
Sure. You got to bring up all that emotion for each song. You got to fully invest yourself. So there was kind of like seeds planted that eventually I was just like, I have to answer this calling. I got to go this way. Definitely.
I can't imagine. Well, you know what? I was gonna say I can't see you with a metal band, but now looking at the beard, you I see it. Now, were you the front man or did you play?
Yeah. I was the singer. Yeah. I play
Oh,
guitar too, but for the
okay.
band stuff on stage, I was singing. Yep.
You still hear from any of the guys?
Once in a blue moon, everybody's paths kind of diverged, but anytime we see each other, just pick up where we left off.
Do you still play?
Nah, not really. I don't sing anymore because I don't like to tax the voice. You never know what's coming session wise or whatever. So I don't do it, especially not the type of singing I did do, which was very textured, a lot of kind of that Pantera-esque screaming type stuff. So that's like a big no-no. Yeah. So for the most part, no, I don't play.
Yeah, because you're and I always tell you your voice has this smooth. It's gravelly, but it's gravelly smooth. I like to call it, if you put silk on top of a rock, then that's you.
You
Because
see, because
the gravel's underneath, but it's so smooth. The silk is, it's like I'm just saying.
to me, your voice is like a velvet hammer. That's how because you come with the punch, but you got that silky softness too. You know what I'm saying? So that's funny, man. We kind of have the similar imagery for one another, for our sounds.
I think I have a name for my new production company, Velvet
There you
Hammer.
go.
I'll give you your 10%. Okay, I like that, y'all. Velvet Hammer, because if you think about it, the you would never see, first of all, a hammer with a handle wrapped in velvet. But I get we gonna talk. Okay,
Right.
so you had your calling. You were in plays. You sang. You grunged out. You rocked out, and then the transition. What was the most challenging thing for you going from being in this metal band, and I've seen how those folks get down. I listened to some stuff here and there. And like you said, because your voice is you have a certain texture. You're going from ear piercing to now I have to nuance myself. Like how was that transition from, your audience is going to change. So you're not screaming at people now. You're talking to people. You're trying to have a conversation, make them feel warm. Even if it's something that's sports oriented, you're trying to get them hyped up, but not screaming at them. So what are the challenges with that you've encountered?
Yeah, it was a steep learning curve because not only coming from the band, but also like being a CDL driver, that's not communication based.
Right.
You get your assignment, you get in your vehicle, you go. You either move product, you move people. That's it. So the learning curve for me was very steep as far as getting in touch with the conversational read, being able to sound urgent without being loud.
Mhm.
You know, getting in touch with your emotion, with the choreography of speech, but not letting either one take too much of the wheel. Yeah, I mean, about all the subtleties of performance that,
Sure.
I'll be honest with you, it was years. It was years of not only training, but like being at it, practicing it, but also walking away from it and letting it kind of work itself out in my head. It took some time, man. It was a big adjustment and took a long time for me.
That's something people don't talk about. There are going to be times where you're going to get in your head about an audition or a read. And instead of recording 13 takes, maybe just walk away for a second or a minute, or just walk away, period. And, reset, go back and listen to what you did. And like, I didn't like any of that. Then delete the file and start over. Sometimes we put the pressure on ourselves because we want to make it in this industry. We want to do well. We want it to be lucrative because we have families and other dreams and passions that we want. And we know that if we do this thing the right way, that it can afford us some of those liberties. Um, was there ever a time where it got maybe a little too hectic for you? Did you ever feel like, okay, as bad as I want to do this, is not working. Maybe it's not for me. And if that happened, what brought you back? And like, you know what, this is not me. I don't quit. I got to find a way to make this thing happen.
Yeah, there was one incident I can think of in particular where I'd booked something that looked to be big and lucrative. It was going to be a substantial amount of work. And my experience and ability did not rise to the occasion of the job. And more or less, it slipped through my fingers. And at the time, I was still working for the USPS. So when that happened, it really was just like, you know what? I can't take this kind of heartache. Like, I'm going to have to push away from it, kind of reset And I focused on just doing the OT behind the wheel, driving through the night, not really kind of I didn't sell my equipment or anything, but it wasn't a priority anymore,
Yeah.
Still occasional auditions here or there with production houses and stuff. But for the most part, VO was to the side, and I was like, you know what? I'm a driver. I'm going to drive. I think maybe that's what I was born to do. But because I never got completely out of it, and I never stopped thinking about it, even those long nights, 12-hour nights, I always had the choreography of speech going through my head. I always stopped and listened to promos and commercials when they were on. And I always kind of let it sink into my brain. What's making this work?
Mm-hmm.
Why? What communication here is happening? And like things started to come together in my head. It started to make sense. And because I never really let it go, I kind of hit on a couple auditions here, some smaller non-union stuff, kept, just a little bit of that fire going. And it's all kind of brought me to where I'm sitting right now. You looking at me looking at you,
Yeah. Everyone has that look into the abyss moment. Because it is one of those things to where you will be tested in this industry. You can be the guy and have a pretty good run, and then all of a sudden, you're grabbing your phone like nobody's calling, the emails aren't emailing, what's going on, and it's not that you're still not a bookable talent, but maybe for whatever trend is trending right now. And I've had this happen where a lot of the things that I was booking on with consistency, I aged out. That's never happened before. And not only aging out is a thing, but then they may not want a voice as heavy. So they want something lighter. But that also says, did you ask me if I could do something lighter? Because I can do something lighter. You just have to tell me you want something lighter.
Right.
But they usually go the younger voice, the more, that I don't want to call it squeaky, because that would be a disservice to those. So I went from a tenor to a baritone in a summer. Literally, I that night went to sleep like right here, and then woke up and was like, hello, like, who are you? So to the lighter or more airier, earthier, whatever you want to call it, voice, those guys were kind of the it guys for a second. And I really felt like, things kind of slowing down a little bit. They don't want a lot of gravitas or something gravelly. Now it's, we want a guy next door, someone we feel comfortable. I'm like, you do know there can be a gravelly guy that stays next door just because he smokes a pack of cigars a day. He's still your neighbor.
100%.
So it took a while to kind of navigate through that, but I also felt like it, I won't say force, but it made me say, okay, let's not stay in one pocket forever, because then you'll forever be in that pocket. If they see you as, well, he's the guy we call when we want something serious, something dramatic. But if you start putting yourself in position to, well, hey, I can be energetic, I can be happy, I can be that guy that can sell you that car for $299 a month at your participating Kia, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then they go, oh, we didn't know you could do that. Well, hey, I got something for you. Here's a small pizza place, Donato's on West whatever, and they need a guy. And then you go, hey, Donato's Pizza has so and so and so for $10, and then they go, didn't know you could do that. Sometimes you have to let people know that you're more than just what they see. There's a saying I say sometimes that sometimes people are too close to the picture to see the whole frame, so they have to take a step back and go, I didn't know Trey could do that. oh wait, that was you that did that? Have you ever had a situation where maybe you were pigeonholed and you had an opportunity to show that, hey, I'm more than just the gravelly voice guy. I can do some other stuff.
Well, this is the perfect segue to talk about my success story, because it is very much me going against my own type in order to kind of end up where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people not only get pigeonholed by casting directors or the industry or whoever they might have booked with before,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they pigeonhole themselves, especially early on in their career. They have an idea of who they think they are, as opposed to listening to what actually works. Like what is the industry responding to that what you do, right? Now, so to let you know, I had stepped out, right? But I never completely stepped out. And then I read for like some agents at Actors Connection, made some connections, and had some bookings
Yeah.
for like Charles Schwab and some other things. It was good. But the big one, and the one most people know me for, is Ace Hardware, which I've been with them since 2019.
Yeah.
And against type, you see, you get a hardware audition, right? And you think hardware, Home Depot, chainsaws, hammers. But the thing is, the script tells a story, right? So that audition script, they didn't say anything about, how big a tree we can knock down or how powerful our lawnmowers were or anything like that. It was very much about the personable, friendly, wholesome, caring, accepting place that you can get help, the friendly faces. And, for once in my life around that time, I didn't get in my own way. I listened to the story of the script, and the story it was telling was not a big tough guy. It was sweet. It was like, you have friends here. We're here to help you. By letting that come through, it basically facilitated what ended up being the biggest booking of my life, up till this point. So, back to the pigeonholing thing, you should be open to every aspect of yourself, as long as it's authentic, if it's really you, and facilitating that in performance. There's no reason to hide. You got to be vulnerable. Let every side of yourself out, because it works, man. If you're really there, it works.
So talk about that for a minute. I think for a lot of aspiring talent, they want to come in and hit the ground running and want to get that big booking right away to set themselves up. But you what you just said, because you're going to get that booking that's going to pay you $200 here, $500 here.
Yeah.
It's not going to be national. It might not even be regional. It could just be local. It's like,
Right.
hey, this is just in your town. When did you start to see, and before Ace, did you notice that, once you got back into it, like, you know what, I'm gonna give this another shot, put my head down and really put the work in. How soon of and we're talking about another shift, went from, okay, I'm back now, I'm gonna fully dedicate myself to this, and let's see where it goes from that point? Before Ace, how was your bookings in between there?
It was gradual, and like my wife would be, here and there, it'd be like, I heard you on TV. I'm like, what? Like I never heard her say those words to me before,
Right.
and it might have been like something on like a sports channel, like a hunting, I mean, I did a lot of strange kind of niche stuff, like ammo for killing deer and stuff, like stuff I'm totally not what I do in real life, but I'm able to sound like I do it.
Yeah.
And it was very gradual, and it snuck up. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I made it, here I am, it's just like here and there. It's like, oh, things are kind of, even without me noticing, things were kind of happening, and to me, it was gradual. It wasn't just I woke up and, oh, I made it in voiceover. Here I am,
Yeah, it's never, at least for many people that we know, um, overnight success. If you call my first decade in this business overnight, then I'll take that. Yeah, nothing's overnight in this business except the audition you sent the day before. That's pretty much it. That's overnight, and that might even be overnight. That's just 5 minutes from now.
Yep.
And with that, and so let's talk about that support. Many of us in this business, I think more than anything, yes, the bookings are great, uh, especially when you get a big gig or two, are
Sure.
great. But in those down times when you're getting a hell of a lot of auditions, but your audition to booking ratio is not that great, how important is it to have the encouragement and support of people behind you? It's like, hey, you got a rough patch right now, but things are turning around, and more particularly, um as a family man, as a husband and dad, like, how are they instrumental in picking you up on those days?
Yeah, it's so vital because they really, they are there for me in so many ways, and I for them. But like, knowing that guys like us, we're in a performance based business
Mhm.
where, you know everything hinges on how much we book, how well we do. So having that support, family, friends. I mean, my wife is my biggest champion, and she is more preoccupied with how I feel as opposed to how much money I'm bringing in, or any of that.
Yeah.
She's very much about, like, if this ain't working for you, walk away. You know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out another way. We'll do something else. It's going to be okay as long as we're together. I get the sense you're in the same situation.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and outside of family, like you and I, anytime you post a win, I'm one of the first saying, go Trey. That's it. Cause I know in this industry, man, we got to celebrate each other's wins. This isn't easy,
Yeah.
and it's not getting any easier. It's so fulfilling and it's great, but man, we got to be there for one another. We really do, you know?
How do your boys react knowing that, at any given moment they can be watching something, turn a channel, and pops on TV? Some now I've heard certain voice actor kids like, and then you have some that's like, they're at school, hey, my dad does this. What does your dad do? How do they respond?
Well, my older one likes to bust my chops that, like, I interrupted the game with an Ace Hardware commercial. I'm ruining football with the NFL kickoff thing coming up or whatever. And then Jane, my wife, said to me, and I never take it personally. I'm all about dude, I grew up in Queens. It's all about busting chops,
Yeah.
But my wife said to me, Josh said, if I didn't mess with him, he should be worried. So, like, I know when he says anything, even if it seems negative, it's totally positive. He's let me know he saw me,
Yeah,
So,
that's cool. Because it's one thing to be an example amongst your peers, but I think when you have children, and my stepdaughter, well, my daughter, there were these guys that wanted to date her or whatever, and she's like, well, I'm a gamer, and they're like, sure you are. Now, when they hear I'm a gamer, they're thinking Call of Duty or something really manly, but the games that she plays are not very manly game. Not cute either, but the point where I'm getting, I think one of the guys may have mentioned Madden. It was like, well, my dad's in that game. Like, yeah, sure, your dad's in the game. And then when they found out, now it was like, oh, hey, it would be really nice to hang out with you and so and so and so. She's like, no, like,
Right.
it's a different kind of fulfillment, because to know that, wait, you're trying to date this guy and you're talking about me. I should not be any integral part of your dating process. It was kind of cool to hear her, stick up for me. Like, yeah, these guys were saying that, it wasn't you and so and so and so. And I've had cousins, be around their friends. Like, yeah, that was my cousin that just did that thing. And it was like, yeah, whatever. And then they call, and then I kind of go into the voice of the character. And now, like, you're going to be the man for the next couple of days. Cause like, yo, was that really him? Like, yeah, that was him. I told you. So I get that.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I got to be the man telling my son that you were voicing Madden, and my son's a Raiders fan. So it was like, forget it. He was in heaven,
He's a good kid. You raised him right.
He's okay. Yeah.
Now, have they felt the bug or thought about doing what you do?
That's a good question. You know what? I don't think so. And I really feel betrayed by my younger one, because he's messing with AI now.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes putting like cartoon voices to songs. Like he'll make Goofy sing like Born in the USA or something like, and I'm just like, Jacob, these people are trying to destroy my industry. Okay.
Taking food off the table now, son.
Yeah. Exactly. But no, they don't, I don't think they have the bug, but they are definitely proud. I get that sense big time,
That's good.
Yeah.
She tried it once. I don't think she has the patience to sit still.
Right.
But she has. I've heard her like imitate Keira Knightley, and I'm like, you have a excellent British voice. Like, I could definitely see her doing some type of anime or stuff like that. She'll hear me walking around the house, and then we'll just follow suit and add a voice to it. And now we're just in these different accents. And I'm like, if I could just get her to, you sure you don't want to do this?
It sounds like there's a natural aptitude, even if the desire's not there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, she something is there. I'm just gonna, give a little nudge. Like, you can go to school during the day, and at night you just think about it. So we'll see. We'll see. That the ship hasn't sailed yet. It's just kind of it's docking right now. We don't know where it's gonna go.
Right.
So as you started to progress in your career, did you ever have your I made it moment? Was there anything significant that happened? Was there some instance where you had a moment of reflection, and you're thinking about things that you set out to do? Like, okay, I did that too. Am I here? Am I at the place that I said in 2008 I wanted to be?
Yeah. I mean, again, not to keep repeating myself, but it really comes back to Ace Hardware. And it was Christmas, I believe. Yeah, 2019. I had done a bunch of demos for them, which, as you know, that doesn't go to air. It's just so they can listen to it and see how you fit with their brand and whatever, their spots they mix down. And, a couple $100 per spot. And I was super happy to do it. It's whatever. It's great, Sure. And that was leading up to Thanksgiving, and all those spots that I did as a demo for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
They all finished?
They all went full up. That was a heck of a holiday, man.
So let me just interrupt for a second and let the folks know the significance of this. when you get a commercial audition, especially if it's a national, there are going to be times where you don't book it outright. They will send you a demo script because they want, like Dan was saying, they want to hear what you sound like with what they recorded. Is he going to be a good fit? How does he sound pushing our product? Does he give it a certain warmth? If it's like, for me, I did Prevnar 20. I did like 9 demos. And then finally they came back and said, okay, you're going to be the guy for this national thing. They didn't use any of the demos. So for him to say that not only did he become the voice of this brand, but they used his demos, that is big. That does not happen often. And to my knowledge, I don't know anyone that has happened to. I know folks who say, yeah, I did a demo here, did a demo there. And like he's saying, the demos don't really pay a lot. It's just more or less a, hey, thank you for your time type thing. But once you book it and it becomes national and you get residuals and all that good stuff, that's where the lucrative side comes in. But for him to say, and we all heard it, that they used what he did, you can't beat that. So that was I can imagine. No, I take that. I can't imagine that feeling when you go, they want them all. So pick up where you left off. They did they picked them all up, and then you felt like
it was the most amazing Thanksgiving and Christmas. My wife was so proud. It was all over the TV. And, as it wrapped up leading up to the new year, so we're talking New Year's 2020, it was just kind of like, well, that was amazing. That was really nice. Let's go get some more stuff or whatever, still driving USPS at that point.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, then March of that year of 2020, my agent at the time reached out to me and asked, Ace Hardware would like to know if you'd be willing to join the union to continue to work with them. And that was when I was like, I think I made it.
Yeah,
I think I made it, man.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is, man. When people, there are going to be times in this business, and I don't care if you've been doing it 5 years, 30 years, there's always something pivotal in your career that's going to just hit you right there, because it's confirmation. All the hard work you put in, the thousands of auditions that you didn't get,
Right.
the times where you could be doing a 9-to-5 job, or like you're doing 10-hour job, and the bills are being paid. So that's good, but the fulfillment is not getting paid.
Right.
And then when it happens and you go, damn, okay, that just happened. Now I need to see if I can do it again.
Right.
And it's like the final domino that pushes everything else. And once that domino falls and things start to fall, now you go from, hey, I was doing this thing, to I'm doing this thing now. Here's proof, because you're hearing me every Sunday, especially when now that game time. Yeah, I'm gonna hear you all damn day.
Right.
And that's a good thing. When I'm watching TV or if I'm watching streaming or whatever, when I hear my friends, and that's, I think, another cool aspect too. Once you've been in this business long enough, you start to recognize your friend's voice and you go, I know that dude. And you're happy for them.
Yep.
Because again, we know what it takes, or what it took, or what it's taking to get to a level, achieve that level. Now you got to stay there.
Yeah.
And that goes.
We know that there's peaks and valleys. It's not like you keep going up. It's not linear. There's downs and
you can go from the peak to the abyss in a month.
Yeah.
You can make 30 grand in a month and then make 5 the next, and you're like, Yeah, so maybe I have to wait for that fishing trip.
Right.
Anyway.
I wish I didn't do those last couple of Outback Steakhouses,
But yeah, man, it's and I think that's where the reward comes in. After the work has been put in and you get something that basically, would you say that for you, Ace was a life changer?
Without a doubt, 1,000,000%. That was the pivotal moment for me, and that made other bookings possible that, might not have been, gave me the confidence to really be like, okay, I do this for a living and I'm good enough. I'm good enough to book, to compete. I mean, we don't really compete, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be in the game. I'm part of the game. So, yeah.
So when that happened, and this is a question I like to hear when I ask people who are still working when they hit that big one. When did you tell USPS to kick rocks?
Right around the time I was doubling what I was making at the post office doing VO.
That'll do it.
Yeah. I turned around to Jane. We were right outside of Walmart on Route 18. And I turned to her and I said, I don't think I can go drive a truck anymore. I couldn't do it. And she was like, okay, here you go. And I put in my papers. That was it. That was a good day, man. That was a good day.
I bet. Did you guys do any celebrate, or just you know what, I'm done, nice to know you, and we're out? Because again, that's a milestone achievement.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you'll never forget when, where, and how it happened. Like for me at the time,
Yeah.
when I booked Madden, and then I had to sit back for a second, okay, the whole process was crazy. So as you know, sometimes we get scripts that have code names, so you don't know what it is.
Right.
And they do that to protect themselves, because there are some people who get a little mouthy.
Sure.
And will post, hey, I just auditioned for a so-and-so. That's why we have NDAs now.
Yeah.
But I digress. So I read for them, and all of the football teams were just so generic. The Sheboygan Spiders and the Kenosha Cats. I'm like, this can't be, what is this? But I read for it, and then they called me in, and I was still in Florida. The EA Studios was in Orlando. I was in Jacksonville.
Right.
A couple hours drive. Say, hey, can you come in for a read in person? Sure. So I one of my dearest friends I've known 40 years, since we were in the third grade. He lives there. I said, hey, I'm coming down, audition for this thing. Let's hang out. So my hotel, and sometimes you get, as my old preacher would say, signs, miracles, and wonders. I got all three that same night. I book a hotel close to the proximity of the studio, like 2 miles away. I'm like, okay, good, because I don't want to be late. You want to get there on time, no excuses, show up and do your job.
Sure.
I get to the hotel, I unpack, talk to my wife. Yeah, not a bad drive. So, small talking. Open the curtains, and my view is a view of downtown Orlando. You see the interstate. I'm like, all right, this feels good. Later on that night, and I got a picture of it somewhere, and I have to send it to you.
Please.
I'm looking out the window, and there is something that is lit up across the street, and it's coming through my window. I'm like, what is that? I look across the street, and Dan Wright, the sign said EA. The EA building was I could see it from my hotel window. I'm like, if this ain't a sign. And I was like, okay. So that morning when I got up, now that I recognized it, I took a picture of it, and I'm like, I'm coming to you today, and I'm leaving with something, as Denzel would say.
Right.
And I get in there, and it's like Fort Knox. You have to sign an NDA to even allow you to go past the turnstile to get to the elevators.
Wow.
Yeah, it's because you got a lot of proprietary stuff in there.
Sure.
So, I'm like, hey, I'm Tre Mosley. I'm here to meet so and so and so. And some guy let slip that it was for Madden. And I don't know who he was, but there was a look amongst certain people. And I promise you, I never saw that guy again. And this is when I used to go and do the sessions live before COVID. And then I had to do it from home. And then when I moved out here to Vegas, I was doing it remotely. But when I would drive in from Jacksonville to Orlando, and I would be there for 2-3 days getting all the stuff done, I never saw that dude. So I'm like, he messed up.
Yeah.
But I go in, I do the audition, and they kept me for like an hour. I said, this is going to go from audition to session, and you're going to have to pay me. So if you're liking what you're hearing, that's cool. But we've been here for a minute. Right,
I know.
And
Man.
they were like, okay, well, thanks for your time. Like, yeah, because y'all getting a lot out of your boy just for an audition. I'm sweating now.
Right.
Gotta go. So I leave. One thing I did do, and I want to talk to you about this as well. When I got back home, I saw my homeboy and we chilled out or whatever. And then because I drove back like the same, right after the audition. So when I got home, I made a note to remember everyone that was in that session. I went on LinkedIn, and this may or may not have helped in the decision-making process. I would like to say it was just because I was a very talented person and I fit what they were looking for. However, I went on LinkedIn, I looked those producers up and those, the guys in development and whatever, and I thanked them for the opportunity. Been playing Madden since Madden came out, and just wanted to say thanks again for having me come down. They responded, hey, no, we loved you, man. Your stuff was great. So and so and so. Day and a half later, I'm in.
Beautiful.
Like, oh, okay. This is going to happen. Madden, I've done video games since, but the reason for me why Madden sticks out, when I got in VO in 2009, a lot of folks will say, I want to do animation and video games. Like, that is their goal. It took me a decade to get my first video game.
Right.
Just so happened the first video game I did was a little game called Madden, and you can't beat that.
It's a video game that you say one word, a last name, and everybody knows what you're talking about, and a new version comes out every year. You don't have to elaborate. You say Madden, people know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. And
that's huge, man.
And I was there. And from that came so many other opportunities. They had like Madden tournaments. They would fly me out and be like an MC on stage. When Coach Madden passed away, they had me do a tribute that was going to be in game. What I didn't know, and I just told this story last week. What I didn't know. So in the game, and let me take a step back. So in the game, I play a DJ. There's so Madden has different modes, and at the time they had this mode called Superstar KO. Well, it was a knockout tournament. You would play, then your team would knock someone out. So then you move on to play someone else's team and you knock them out. And it was in this big stadium where they had a DJ who was half DJ, half announcer. Not your typical, so-and-so's back to throw and it's touched. I'm I'm on the playground making fun of somebody. Oh man, how you dropped that ball? I was that dude.
Right.
And the younger demographic loved it. And when I say younger, I'm under 18. So let's say 8 to 15, 16, that was right up their alley.
Sure.
So as I started working more and more with the team, they expanded my role. Hey, we also want you to do this thing in the game. And now, now that you've done that, we have these tutorials in game where you don't have to be so animated, but just kind of a, hey, welcome back to Madden, so and so and so. We got some new cool features, so and so and so. To choose this, click the X button or blah blah blah. So now I'm that guy.
Right.
And then the role expanded even more. They're like, hey, we want you to do the in-game intros for the teams for the matchup. I'm like, okay. So again, like you said, your big one was Ace, and it led you to more things. Madden led me to more things in the game because I
Right.
was just supposed to be a character, but then I became an in-game announcer. And kept that role until the last season I was with them. And so now I can fast forward to where I was going with the when Coach Madden passed away. They knew that I had been doing stuff with the Raiders and was like, hey, we couldn't think of a better person to do this tribute than you. And they gave me the script and I read it and was like, oh yeah, I got to do this. So, I put on my best voice for that, and they put it into the game. Here's where I don't know if this has ever happened. So the game comes out and one of the producers sends me a clip. No, he ats me on Twitter. It was like, hey, I know this guy. And I'm like, oh, this must be the narration. So I'm excited to see it. What I didn't know, there was a special in-game mode that you had to play, and you had to play it through halftime. And then at halftime, the announcers say that, we have a special Madden tribute. And it was like, by Tre Mosley. I'm like, y'all said my name in the game. Let's try this again. So I played the mode again. And it was like by the Raiders' own. And so they put that in there.
Right.
And I don't think that's to my knowledge. I don't think I know of anyone that is in a video game as themselves. I will never forget that. I cried the cry of cries. It was like, this is my life now. And that was kind of my I made it moment for me. I had some other ones, but that, there's going to be a kid for the first time who's going to play that 10 years from now, because some people have, I like Madden 20 better than I like Madden.
Yeah. I like 2008, whatever. Yeah. 100%. Man.
So when they play that one, they are going to hear some 75-year-old dude named Tre Mosley like, hey, he's still around. I still am. But 30 years ago, that was me.
That's the equivalent of the actor like being bigger than the part. Like Clint Eastwood is Dirty Harry. You know what I mean? Right. That's wild, dude. That's a beautiful thing, man.
So that I will never I'll never forget how that made me feel. My wife was with me when it happened, and I'm still, even though I'm not affiliated because I talk for a living with the game anymore, but the production team, we're all still cool. I just talked to one of the guys last night. We're all still very cool. I may get a free game or two here and there, still get some perks, but it's just one of those things where you go, wow, to have that kind of an impact in this industry, because sometimes we are treated as just the voice of a thing or the voice in a thing. But when you're recognized as the person of a voice of a thing, that that carries more weight than anything.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah. I haven't reached that kind of level yet, but I mean, man, I'm happy for you that you had that, and I really can't think of an equivalent, other than like what I said, when the actor is as big, if not bigger. Tom Cruise and then Mission Impossible is right under, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So awesome, dude.
No, it's crazy. So crazy. There's a young kid, he reached out to me, and he does podcast, and he was like, "Hey, I want to interview you." And I'm like, "You sure?" He's like, "Yeah, because you're my favorite voice actor." I'm like, "Huh?" So I talked to his mom, and she was like, "Yeah, he plays Madden a lot, and when that new mode came out, he would just play it all day, and he loved hearing your voice." And like, he does have a podcast, and it would be his honor, our honor, if you hopped on. And I did it. Just the coolest dude, man. And I told my wife, I'm like, I think I have a fan. Like, I'm that part of voiceover, I don't think I'm ready for.
Right.
I have a lot of friends that do video games, animation. They go to all these different conventions and conferences where people are signing things and taking selfies with them. I want that, but then at the same time, like, okay, be careful what you wish for, because then when you get that, how are you going to deal with it?
Right.
So that's my segue for you. What's next? We've had these milestones that we've achieved. It's like, okay, I made it moment. Is there something in the industry that, when and if it happens, and I don't really like to preface it by calling it a dream job, but if there's something you haven't done yet that you say, man, if I just get one chance to do that thing, like, that would take me over.
Yeah, I would say it's two-pronged. I definitely haven't reached the golden handcuffs level of promo yet.
Mhm.
So booking promo to that point, or being needed by, producers I have booked with, that I actually can't step away from the microphone for a day, because now I can. I got some free time, So there's that aspect of it, and then of course I'd love to get a trailer under my belt.
Ah,
Who didn't have Don LaFontaine or Hal Douglas in their mind when they first got into this, especially around the time that we did. So I'd love that. That would definitely be a dream come true.
amen to that. And I've had 2 trailers. Oh, sorry. And I want more, but it's like trying to dance in a phone booth. The amount of guys that do trailers is so you can't get in.
Right.
But when you do finally, like, take advantage of it and do good things, and hopefully they'll give you a call back. So before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
a couple of questions that I always ask at the end of the segment, but I want to do it a little different with you. The question I usually ask, I'm still going to ask, um, when you have a moment and you're not on the mic, you're not in the studio, number one, how does Dan take time out for himself? That's question number one. And then number two is, looking at the trajectory of how it happened for you, is there anything you would change, or you would keep it just the way it is, and why?
Okay. When I have moments to myself, I love to take my wife out and show her a good time. That's my number one. It's my favorite thing.
Good man.
With my wife, I like to watch movies with my son, my older son, Joshua. He's in his early 20s now. This is that time where it's not going to last forever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's very precious for us, you know. I enjoy video games. I like comic books, things like that. And as far as the trajectory of my career, there were some hard times, Trey. Really tough, you know, and some recent, some early on. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't change a thing, because honestly, I had to be exactly who I was and had to have gone through exactly what I had gone through to be ready at the times when I hit, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I wouldn't change a thing, man.
Not bad for a guy from Queens, huh?
Not too shabby. I'll tell you, I have one story for you, and it kind of ties into what you said about reaching out to the guys from Madden. And honestly, if I mess up like that one guy who mentioned Madden and you never saw him again, I might need you to cut this whole thing that I'm about to say.
Okay.
Because this just happened recently, and I don't want to disparage any companies or
Sure.
production houses. I got an audition through a production house that likes to work with the talent being anonymous. And it was for a major company.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent in some MP3s and they were good. I don't always do that. I don't always hear my stuff and be like, oh, that was great. No, it was great. I knew it.
Okay.
So much so that right before this past holiday, I was not surprised when I was asked to do a live audition. I was like, this tracks with what I had submitted.
Yeah.
So this production house had me on the line, and they set up some pretty funky rules. Only 20 minutes.
Wow.
For 6 spots.
What?
One of the producers on the other side asked my full name because they didn't know my full name. And the engineer said, he can't say that. We can't say that. So I was quiet during it, performed for them, and it was going really well. They were digging my vibe. I was taking direction well, all that. The production house would not give them all the takes, would only give them what they picked as the winners. You know what that's about, whatever. Basically created a very segregation deal, I'm here, they're there. And not only that, I was embarrassed for the production house for how they were treating this client.
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't say my name, but I heard all their names. Now, they're only first names, but from that session, I had the name of the company.
I see where you're going.
So I Googled what ad agency handles this company.
Right.
That has these first names.
Right.
And I found somebody, and I let them know. I emailed them, and I said, my full name's Dan Wright, and I'm not exclusive to that production house. And if you would like to continue to work with them, that's fine, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to reach straight out to me. And I'm represented by so-and-so and this and that. Dude hit me up 4 hours later. Now, I don't know if it's anything good or bad, but the fact that he even responded, he said, yeah, I was that guy. Thank you for reaching out. I'm going to give the information to our producer. Wow. So kids, take what you will from that. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but I don't regret doing it, you know?
Change your name to Damn Right, because that's how you do it. That is, that's how you do it. A good friend of mine, and I say that and then I draw a blank. Now watch when the show's over. Oh, it was him.
Right.
He took Doug Turkel. Hey, Doug.
Okay.
Doug told me 10 years ago, they don't know you're there if they don't know you're there.
That's right.
And you let them know I'm here.
Yeah.
So now that they know, I think that's going to be a good relationship.
Hey, man.
And you have to do that sometimes. I call myself I am a habitual line stepper because but it's for the good. But
Right.
I will do some things that like you. So you just did that? Yeah. Well, what happened? They liked my stuff and said, "We'll keep you on file." And then the looks on people's faces like I could have never done that. I'm like, well, and that is why you don't succeed. I'm not saying you got to go rob a bank, but every now and then you got to take some risks, because sometimes to get in the face of the person you want to get in front of, there's this big gap. And do you go from person to person to person, or do you take a step back and then run and just jump over everything? You have to take the leap sometimes, and I think the leap that you just took is going to prove to be a good one. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah, man.
I
I appreciate that, and I'll definitely keep you posted. The thing is, you can advocate for yourself and you can promote yourself and be kind at the
Sure,
same time.
absolutely.
I know you step up to the plate, you swing a big bat, you know how good you are at what you do, but you're also a great guy, and you don't have to be a bad person in order to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works.
Not at all, man. Not at all. But yeah, keep me posted on that. And actually, what I'm going to do later on today, I didn't know you were a big comic guy like myself. You're going to get a lot of pictures today, sir.
Okay.
I got some 80s nostalgia that would just send you. It is going to turn you into a 10-year-old again. So
I love it, man. I look forward to it.
stay tuned for that. Well, folks, we got things to do and people to see and more lines to step over. But before we get out of here, tell the folks how to reach you and see what's going on in your world.
Yeah, man. You catch me at gravelthroat.com. My demos are there. My recent work. I'm Gravelthroat on Instagram. I'm Dan Wright on Facebook, and I'm always up to make new friends and always up for new work too. You know what I mean?
Hey now.
Absolutely, Trey. I so much appreciate you having me on, man. This is awesome.
No, this is my pleasure, sir. And hope you guys learned something today about this. His new nickname is Damn Right, because I'm telling you, sometimes you just have to say, I got to do this thing, and you did it, and you're doing it the right way. Love watching your work when you post it, and when I hear it out in the wild, and definitely my pleasure having you on.
Awesome.
So, folks, that is it for us, and please take some time out for yourself. Thanks for listening to the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley podcast, part of TMX Creative. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube or the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley YouTube page. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. Either way, we'll see you soon.